Good afternoon, wonderful people out there. Um, it's always an exciting one to come your way, so we can discuss the issues concerning life and leadership. Um, Today we are gonna probably conclude our series on identifying your, discovering your identity. Discovering your identity. For the past 2 weeks, we've been talking about identity, how to discover your identity, the importance of discovering your identity. Today, we're going to conclude on the discovering of the identity series. And if we have a little bit of time, we probably will zoom into what I believe or I deem as the first principle of leadership. The first principle of leadership, which is the principle of process, the principle of process. But it's all going to depend on the time we would get um, after we finish with the um, Discovering Your Identity series. And today we're going to be talking or wrapping up on this series by talking on understanding the purpose of your identity. Understanding the purpose of your identity. And for the past week or two, we've spoken about the fact that we have the identity we have because we have been gifted to do certain things in this world nobody else can do. So we are uniquely identified to do what we were born to do, or we are uniquely gifted to solve unique problems, certain problems in this world that nobody else has that ability or has that gift to be able to solve that problem. We also spoke about the fact that our loss of identity is big business for the systems of the world. And as I said the other time, when um, as time goes on, we'll discuss what I mean by the systems of the world. Um, we spoke about the fact that when we talk about identity, we're not talking about your height, your beauty, your background, your family background, your social status, or whatever comes into mind. That is not what we're talking about, but we're talking about the gift which is hidden within this package. We believe that this body is just a package. And in order for us to make an impact, we first have to discover who we are, our true identity, because our true identity is what is going to impact our world. So until we discover our identity, we cannot make an impact in this world. So basically, we spent quite a little bit of time talking about identity because it is the most important aspect of leadership and the most important aspect of life. If we can understand and grasp the concept of our identity, if we can know who we are, if we can unwrap this gift to expose our identity to ourselves and to the world, then we can make an impact. We can change our world. We can make the world a better place. So we've spent quite some time talking about identity, discovering your identity, how to discover your identity. And like I said, this is so important that I don't mind revisiting this issue. If anybody has a question, if anybody has a contribution, as I always say, we don't have all the answers. Afric, Certo, we don't have all the answers. But of course, we will set the narrative rolling in order for us to be aware and to have some understanding to be able to put the necessary um, ingredients that is needed to move our lives from one stage to the other in order for us to impact our communities. So today we're talking about understanding the purpose of your identity. And as I've given the background to the identity, who we are, one of the things we have to understand, which we always talk about, or which I always say, is that everything in this world has a purpose. There is a reason for everything in this world. Just think about it. Mention anything you could imagine, and it'll you would know that it has a reason. There's a purpose. It did not just exist by chance or by accident. Everything in existence exists because there is a purpose behind its existence. And so, why are we unique in our identities? Why am I not the same as somebody else? Why is Mr. A not the same or the exact same as Mr. B? And as we've all heard time and time again, that we have over 7 billion people in this world, and no two fingerprints are alike. In other words, if we have 7 billion people in this world, we have 7 billion different fingerprints. Why? Because each and every one is unique. You are irreplaceable. Nobody can replace you. You know, sometimes they tell you at work that you can be replaced at any time. Yes, when it comes to job, you can be replaced at any time. Because guess what? Job takes an ability. It takes your ability to be able to do a job. An ability anybody can learn. Ability anybody can master. I can learn something to do it. But when it comes to your work, which is your identity, what identifies you, you are irreplaceable. Nobody can replace you. You are irreplaceable. Let's get this and get it straight. When it comes to your job, yes, you can be replaced because your job requires ability. And ability, as I always say, means able to do. So I can go learn something and be able to do it and probably do it better than what you were doing, and you can be replaced. But when it comes to work, work is what identifies you and me. You are irreplaceable. Nobody can replace you. You don't have a replacement. You don't have an alternative. You are uniquely designed to do that specific work. Let's get that out of the way. And check this out. If you are uniquely designed to do that particular work, then you have to understand that it was not by accident. It was by purpose. You were purposed to do the work you were doing. I'm not talking about job. I'm talking about work, because we're talking about identity here. And identity, your work identifies you. And as we said the last week, when you make mention of Dr. King, what first comes into mind is civil rights activism. When you make mention of Bob Marley, reggae music, you talk about Kojo Enchi, love music. You talk about Bob Okala, comedy, Steve Harvey, comedy, you know. So your work identifies you. Your identity is inseparable with your work. You cannot separate your work from your identity. Those two are inseparable. So we are talking about understanding the purpose of your identity. And check this out. As I always say, yes, if you identify yourself, all that beauty you possess, all that you bring to the table, and you don't have an understanding of the purpose of your identity, it can lead to your destruction. So identifying who you are is one step, and understanding the purpose of your identity is another step, which is very important. The reason we've had so many great people in the world destroyed, either by drugs or by whatever means, is because of a lack of understanding of the purpose of their identity. Now, check this out. Discovering your identity is one thing. Understanding the purpose of your identity is another thing. Yes, I can discover my identity, but if I don't understand the purpose from my identity in this world, that can lead me into destruction. Because I might be thinking that the reason of my existence or my identity, the reason for my identity is to please myself, which is wrong. The reason for my identity or the reason of me existing is not to please myself, is to do a specific task. Your identity is for a specific task. And so discovering your identity is one thing, and understanding the purpose of your identity is another thing. And today we want to talk about understanding the purpose of your identity, because that understanding will preserve you. It will preserve your identity. It will preserve the integrity of your identity. One, the purpose of your identity is to do a specific work in this world. That is why I keep saying that the world cannot be the same with or without you. If anybody tells you that you don't matter, that is not true. If anybody tells you that the world can do without you, that is not true. The world can never do without you, with or without you. In other words, with or without you, the world will never be the same. So if you decide to unwrap your gift, your identity, and serve it to the world, you will move the world further, or you will make the world a better place. If you decide not to unwrap your identity and serve it to the world is going to lose your contribution. So whichever way, the world is never the same, with or without you. I just want us to have this understanding right from the word go. You are so important. You are so uniquely gifted. I don't care what your identity is. I know some people's identity might even just be bringing smiles on the face of people, on the faces of people. And sometimes you might think it's very trivial. It is not that important, but you play a very significant role in the grand scheme of things. I don't know what your identity is. And whatever your identity is, for your information, the world needs it. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, whatever my identity is, I'm going to find it and I'm going to develop it and I'm going to serve it to the world because the world needs me. That is how important you are. Don't let anybody, don't let anybody, don't let any circumstances dictate to you that you don't matter in the grand scheme of things. The world is waiting for you. The world can never be a better place without you discovering your identity. Because there's a work that you and you alone can do. Nobody else can do that work. It is you and you alone. Because you have been gifted that unique identity to fill that gap. Somebody might be thinking, well, we have so many. Let's take just one particular discipline. Let's say music or reggae music. Somebody can say we have so many reggae musicians in the world. So what difference would my music make in this world, or my reggae music make in this world? Just think about it. If Bob Marley had asked that same question and so decided not to do anything, can you just imagine? Can you just imagine? The redemption song wouldn't have been sung. Yes, the redemption song wouldn't have been sung. Africa Unite wouldn't have been sung. And all those songs he did wouldn't have been sung. But just think about it. How many reggae musicians do we have in this world? But every musician has a specific group of people they appeal to. Every musician has a specific group of people they appeal to. I want to repeat this. Think about it. Every musician, even the ones that you think you don't like, they still have a group and a specific people they appeal to. Why? Because they are solving certain problems in the lives of these people. It could be their lyrics, it could be their rhythm, it could be the arrangements of the song. Whatever it is, they have a specific group of people they appeal to. So don't sit down and tell me that I don't matter because there are hundreds or thousands or millions of people doing the same thing I'm doing. No, they're not doing the same thing you were doing. It might seem like they're doing the same thing you were doing, but you have a specific group of people you have to impact. That is the bottom line. That is the bottom line. A specific group of people are waiting on you to impact them with your identity. So when you understand this, that your identity is not to make you happy, or it is not to make you famous, or it is not to make you rich in this world, but it is to impact a certain group of people. It gives you a certain sense of understanding to make you want to look for your identity to serve it to the world, because you know that people are waiting on you. There's a song that I wrote some years back which says, millions are waiting. Millions are waiting on you and I. So our lives are linked to millions of lives. Sometimes we might not see the ripple effects. But believe you me, what you do today is not just for you. It is impacting somebody's life, which would in turn to impact somebody else's life. And that will follow up to impact somebody else's life. Nobody, 10 years ago, nobody thought about a black person becoming the president of the United States of America. Nobody thought about it. But guess what? The President Barack Obama did not do it for himself, or neither did he do it on his own. Guess what? Frederick Douglass did it for Barack Obama. Dr. King did it for Barack Obama. Malcolm X, um, um, Mary Bethines. I mean, all those civil rights icons you can think about. All these people were doing what they were doing, not for themselves, but for us to have a black president one day in the White House of the United States of America. Think about it. So your life is not just yours. Your life is linked to millions of people. So Frederick Douglass, Dr. King, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, and all these people, when they were struggling at that time to make the playing field level for all humanity, guess what? Little did they know that they are producing, or they're going to produce, a black president in the United States White House one day. So you see the ripple effect. So your life is linked to millions of lives. That is why you don't just have to identify yourself or discover your identity, but discover your identity and understand the purpose of your identity. And when you understand the purpose of your identity, you set your eyes on the goal. And the goal is to serve humanity. The goal is that millions are waiting on you. The goal is that you are so important that you've been uniquely gifted to do a specific work in this world that nobody else can do. So the concept of the fact that you can be replaced is wrong. And I repeat that the concept of the fact that you can be replaced is wrong. When it comes to the work you were born to do in this world, you are irreplaceable. Nobody can replace you. But first, we have to identify who we are. Secondly, we have to understand the purpose of our identity. And when we understand the purpose of our identity and know without a shadow of doubt that we are irreplaceable and we have been created, uniquely gifted to do a specific work in this world nobody else can do. You have been gifted to write certain books nobody else can write. You have been gifted to sing certain songs nobody else can sing. You have been gifted to write certain songs nobody else can write. You have been gifted to write certain poems nobody else can write. You have been gifted to do certain surgeries nobody else can do. You have been gifted to teach certain group of people nobody else can teach. Let's get that straight. You see, the society we live in will let you know, or will make you feel that even if I don't do it, somebody else will do it. I hear things like, oh, the ideas that you think about, guess what? A million people are thinking about the same thing. Yes, a million people might be thinking about the same thing, but those million people are going to do it differently to touch a certain group of people. They are not touching the same people you will touch. Let's understand. Let's understand this. It is very important. When we grasp this, it will set our focus on the right things. It will help us to do the right things in order for us to impact the people we were born to impact. Yes, the ideas you're thinking of, you might be thinking of something fantastic, and you tell yourself, oh, About 1 million people are thinking of the same thing. So let me just relax, because even if I don't do it, 1 million people are going to do it wrong, because they're not going to touch the same people you are touching. The 1 million people are not going to touch the same people you are touching. So knowing your identity is one thing, but understanding the purpose of your identity is another thing, because the understanding of the purpose of your identity is what preserves your life. Just knowing your identity can lead you into destruction. Because guess what? When you know your identity and you serve your identity to the world is going to gravitate towards you. They're going to make you feel you're on top of the world. They're going to make you feel that you own the world. They're going to make you feel a certain level of arrogance. But when you understand the purpose of your identity, it humbles you. So understanding the purpose of your identity is very vital in the process of serving your world and your generation, because it humbles you. You discover a huge identity beyond your imagination. You discover this great poet the world has never known before. You look into the mirror and you see a great songwriter the world has never known before. And millions of people are waiting on me. What a humbling understanding. It does not make you arrogant. It makes you humble. When you understand that millions of people are waiting on you to make the world a better place. The understanding of how important you are to make this world a better place humbles you. I say it humbles you. It does not make you arrogant. Because arrogance, as I explained the other time, is thinking that you're better than everybody. But humility is understanding your service to your community. It's humility, understanding your service to your community. If you understand that if I don't do it, nobody else will do it. Yes, there's over 7 billion people in this world, but nobody can do it better than you. That is why you've been gifted with that identity. So today, what we want to understand today is not just identifying ourselves, but to sit and have a better understanding of the purpose for our identity, or the purpose of our identity. Like I said, number one purpose is that you are here, your identity is here to serve or to do a work, a specific work nobody else can do. That is why I don't care how many millions of people writing books. Nobody else can write the book you have been gifted to write. And like I gave the example, if Bob Marley had not sung a redemption song, it means redemption song wouldn't have been sung. So in order for us to understand the purpose of our identity, we also have to understand that we are irreplaceable. And two, we have to understand that if we don't discover our identity and serve it to the world, guess what? We are robbing the world of that particular identity. So let's say Kojontri decided not to contribute or not to develop his identity and serve it to the world. So we would have lost songs like Mr. Music Man, songs like Minyam Tabaya, If Bubble Color decided, oh, we have so many or too many comedians in this world or in Ghana, so let me just sit in my little corner and chill and forget about this comedy. The people he touched, he wouldn't have been able to touch them. The comedies he displayed on stage wouldn't have been done by nobody. I don't care how well or how close you can do it to mine, you cannot touch the same people I'm touching, because I was born with this identity to touch this group of people you cannot touch. So today, in order to conclude our discussion for understanding the purpose of your identity, I just want to entreat all of us to have this mindset that the world is waiting on us. Forget about the fact that there are millions of people who are doing the same thing you're doing. Because those people are not going to touch or impact the very people you have been gifted to touch or impact. So when we have this understanding, it changes our whole perspective of life. Anytime you walk around, you don't just walk around, you walk around purposefully, looking for an opportunity to bring your identity to bear on your community. You don't just walk around aimlessly, but you walk around with the understanding that you have a specific work to do here on earth. And so you walk around with your eyes open, with your heart open, looking for the opportunity to do that work. Because you are irreplaceable. And if you don't do it, nobody else can do it. And the world is in shambles. The world is crying because too many people decide not to discover the identity. One of the greatest people I've heard talked about purpose. That's Dr. Miles Monroe. And he said the richest place on earth is a cemetery. Why? Because in the cemetery lies millions of books that were not written, millions of songs that were not sung, millions of architectural designs that were not developed. People died without the world knowing who they were. Don't die without the world knowing who you are. And in order for the world to know who you are and to benefit from your identity, you first have to discover your identity. And when you discover your identity, you develop your identity with the understanding that I am the only person who can do this work. So if I don't do it, nobody else will do it. And if I do it, I make this world a better place. The world needs me. So I have to stay alive to serve my purpose. This understanding alone preserves your life. This understanding of the purpose of your identity preserves your life. And I always hope that we would all come to this level of understanding and begin to uncover or unwrap the identity hidden in us. That huge, humongous person hidden in your 5'4" height, in your 7'2" height, in your 6'9" height, and all that height, or your beautiful face or your handsome face don't matter, because your identity is not linked to this physical body. Your identity is not linked to this wrapper. This is just a wrapper, as I said. So in order for us to make a difference, let us understand the purpose of our identity. If we understand the purpose of our identity, then we will be able to serve our community and our generation in humility, knowing that the world cannot be a better place without you and I. I just want to thank you all for listening. I see Naima Lee. What's up? Don't be a stranger. I see Isa. Hello. I see all of you guys. Um, I just want to bring this to a conclusion. If anybody has a question or anybody has a contribution, you can go to our Facebook page, send us a message. Next week, we're going to be talking about the principle of process, which I said from the beginning that I deem as the first principle of leadership is the principle of success, understanding the principle of process. Understanding the principle of process is the first principle of leadership. Next week, around the same time, 12 noon US time, 5 p.m. Ghana time, we are going to meet and discuss this important topic, understanding the principle of process. So I hope to meet you all next week around the same time. Thank you for listening and being a part of the Leadership Academy, coming to you via Facebook Live. It is from AFRIWIC International Organization and CERTO Leadership Organization. My name is Nana Osei Bonsu Jr., and I am your humble servant who brought you this discussion today. Thank you, and hopefully, God willing, we are going to meet next week around the same time. You all have a wonderful week and have a wonderful weekend. See you on the flip side. Peace.